I welcome everyone to my channel. And again, stories from life. Zhenya always tried very hard to make their dates gentle and unforgettable. Vika sat and tried to listen carefully to her boyfriend, but all her thoughts were about Sasha and his new girlfriend. She did not know what to expect, what she would be like, and was afraid to see Sasha's feelings for her. Hi all. Vika heard Sasha's cheerful voice. Her heart trembled. She looked up and saw him. He was beautiful, and his girlfriend looked like a fashion model. Vika hid the pain and smiled. So this is what my best friend's dream girl is like. Vika tried to hide the irony, but it still sounded in her voice. Yes, this is Sveta. Sasha, in a gentlemanly way, seated the girl at the table. Very nice, Vika said. And Sasha definitely has a taste, Zhenya replied with a smile. The conversation gradually began to gain momentum, but, nevertheless, for the most part Zhenya and Sveta spoke. And Vika and Sasha were silent. Each of them felt awkward, but they tried to hide it. Sasha admired Vika as much as possible and understood that not one girl could replace her for him. This situation seemed to him stupid and ridiculous. He felt that he was also not indifferent to Vika, and recent events made him even more convinced of this. But he also understood that neither he nor she would take the first step, no matter how they wanted to. Pride will not allow. The evening ended and the couples began to gather at home. We need to meet together more often, Sveta said with a smile. Vika, I really want to know as much as possible about Sasha, because you know him best of all. Don't you want to reveal his secrets yourself? Vika replied irritably. But you will tell more truth. That's for sure. Zhenya, call me a taxi, ask Vika, and don't see me off. I'll get there myself. See you tomorrow, maybe never, Vika said in her mind. At home, Vika did not try to hide her anger. She nervously walked around the room and destroyed everything in her path. Then, realizing that this would not help, she sat on the bed and began to cry. Vika was surprised that, having known Sasha for a long time, she could not discover in herself the true feelings that she had for him. He was always there and she never paid attention to his girls, they just came and went. And she knew all his feelings for them, but now she was embarrassed to ask about the light, which angered her even more. Sasha, having escorted Sveta home, realized that he did not want to return to his place. He passionately wanted to see Vika. He saw her irritation and anger in the cafe. On the one hand he was pleased, but at the same time he did not want her to suffer. Everything was too confused and the only chance was to find out everything once and for all, to talk about everything without hiding any feelings, desires or thoughts. Vika almost fell asleep, but loud knocks on the door made her jump out of bed. She went to the door, wondering who might come to her at night. Who? It's me. Vika recognized Sasha's voice and began to open the doors, her hands shaking with excitement and happiness. She opened the door and saw him. He was terribly drunk and could hardly stand on his feet. Vika was surprised because Sasha rarely drank and never to such a state. You are drunk? What's happened? I will come, Sasha asked calmly. Yes, of course, come on. He confidently walked into her bedroom and sprawled out on the bed in a businesslike way. Then he slyly looked at her and smiled. What are you doing? He asked casually. Are you crazy? People sleep at night. Vika looked surprised. I'm out of my mind, Sasha thought. Everything can be. Although, no, I'm definitely going crazy lately. You are haunting me like an obsession. You are everywhere, in thoughts, in dreams, in dreams. It's impossible. You should feel responsible for what you are doing to me. Aren't you ashamed? And, although why would you be ashamed? Because then in the morning you were so disappointed, you were embarrassed that you woke up with me. Tell me, why did you do it then? Boredom? From a lack of novelty? From longing? Yes, from what? Sasha roughly grabbed the astonished Vika by the hand and looked angrily at her. Vika could not believe what he told her. His feelings, his anger pleased her, and she understood that he was not indifferent to him, that he wanted to be with her. You don't, yes, you cannot say anything, I already know everything. You are my friend, I am yours. That's the whole truth about us. Stupid, right? For so long I could not understand that you were dear to me, and then, having made a terrible mistake, I realized and I can no longer be with you, because you do not love me, but simply treat me like a friend. It's funny to fall in love with a friend. Vika could no longer listen to his stupid ideas and conjectures. She came closer to him, hugged and kissed him. And again they were seized by fire and desire. Sasha no longer uttered a word and greedily, with passion, answered the kiss. The morning sun and the noise of the city woke Sasha. He felt that she was near and hugging him. He remembered last night and was ashamed of what he had said. His confessions were sincere, and he was afraid that when Vika woke up she would regret this night, even if she feels something for him. This is not a reason for a relationship, he knew her too well. Gently and slowly, he got out of bed, trying not to wake her. His things were scattered randomly on the floor. He gathered them up and began to dress. He wanted to leave before she woke up so it wouldn't be the same awkward situation as the last time. Having finished dressing, he looked back for the last time to look at her and remember this morning as beautiful as her dream. But Vika had already woken up and looked at him. Her look was surprised, tender, affectionate and loving. She got up from the bed, walked over to him, hugged him and softly whispered, I won't let you leave like I did once. You are mine, and I will not give you to anyone. A novel that will change your life. Martha Shields. Hope for Happiness Cowboys to the Rescue -2 Chapter 1st, Child. Claire Eden straightened up. Are you saying that I need to have a baby? She stared in amazement at Drive. Anne Freeman sitting opposite. She just waved her hands in response. Aren't you going to have children? I'm going to, of course, but not now. If this not now lasts at least until next year, I'm afraid you won't be able to give birth at all. Claire turned to the office window. It was raining outside, and breathed a sigh of relief. Thunder really rumbled. It was strange that she had forgotten about the black storm clouds that were moving towards the city from the Rocky Mountains. Claire saw them at the very moment when a tow truck arrived for her wrecked car. The rain had caught her on the way here, and she had had enough time to get her feet wet as she ran from the cab to the front door of the building. A crowd of workers, hurrying home after a working day, was already pouring towards her. Luckily, Dr. Freeman knew how Claire was worried about the test results and waited for her. Your condition will only get worse, Claire, she said. What Claire valued most about her was her frankness. Dr. Freeman never tried to hide anything from her patients or soften the truth. Isn't there any medicine? I thought you'd give me painkillers. And instead, I get a time bomb? I will prescribe the pills for you, but they do not give any guarantee. On the other hand, pregnancy could solve all problems. In most cases, the pain disappears after the birth of the child. Yes, of course, it's easy for you to talk about a child. You have a husband and 3 children. And I'm not married. And I don't even date anyone. And no prospects? Claire shook her head. Maybe artificial insemination? How many $1,000s will it cost? In addition, I can imagine the reaction of the brothers. They will rush on the very first plane with guns at the ready. How can I explain to them that some unfortunate test tube is to blame for everything? Claire sighed angrily. So what's left for me? Dr. Freeman leaned back in her chair and said sympathetically, This is a very difficult question. To my friend and partner, Jacob Henry Anderson, I will bequeath all of my real estate, including Rocking Tea Ranch and investment income upon my death. If Jacob Anderson does not outlive me, I bequeath. A rumble of thunder drowned out the voice of the notary. Jake Anderson sat, stunned by the sudden burden that had fallen on him. He became the owner of Rocking Tea. The notary continued to read, but Jake wasn't listening. He already knew what was said next. The continuation of Alan's will was an exact copy of his own. Jake looked through the window of his office on the 33rd floor of a skyscraper with unseeing eyes. The Rocking Tea Ranch, located near the Colorado-Nebraska border, bordered on his own. Called Bar Hanging 7. 5 generations of the Townsends and Andersons ran cattle there until Alan and Jake had to leave and go into big business in the city. They did this to save their homes. Aneurysm. What the hell? Why did he die like that? Alan was having fun spending a crazy weekend in the company of some regular girl du jour, and suddenly died. Completely unexpected. Failed to get things in order. Without a single chance for what? To start a family and leave Rocking Tea to the Townsends? To leave people in the world who could sincerely mourn his death? At the funeral, Jake was the only one to whom Alan meant more than his money, the only one who truly grieved. And who will mourn me when I die? Claire called the elevator and leaned her burning forehead against the cold metal of the doors. Well, a day. Disgusting, bad day. It all started when she crashed her car on her way to the doctor. Then she got wet in the rain. Now also a child. And where to get it from? No, it's not that she doesn't want to have children. On the contrary, she really wanted to, and if everything had turned out differently, by the age of 30 she would have had a beloved husband and at least 8 kids. And now she is almost 28. Claire knew why the years flew by so quickly. Instead of going to a high-paying job as an economist in a large corporation, and her university education gave her such an opportunity, she preferred a small firm in Denver. Mainly to slip away from the custody of his brothers at last. At first, Claire considered working in this company only as the first step on the path to success. But after some time, I discovered that it is much more pleasant to work with people, and not with the papers of corporations. She sincerely rejoiced along with her clients when she reported that their profits would be very high. And I felt a deep relief when I helped a small firm to exist for at least another year. She also liked the atmosphere that prevailed at Whitaker and Associated. The people here were friendly and always ready to help. And Claire could always come to work in jeans if she wanted to. How many economists can boast of this? The only drawback was that they paid a little here. Working in a corporation could bring much more. And as for artificial insemination, her entire salary would not be enough for this. Suddenly the light went out and then the light came on again. Claire froze, then breathed a sigh of relief as the lamps came back on. It was beyond her strength to be in complete darkness now. The button on the elevator door went off, and Claire pressed it again. Over the past 6 years, she was firmly convinced of one thing. Working in a formal suit is not for her. But for the sake of the family, you will have to come to terms with this. Although she accepted the possibility of artificial insemination with hostility. Does she have a choice? Marry some cowboy her brothers would find for her just to have a baby? No way. Pick up some guy in a bar and spend the night with him? Claire shuddered at the mere thought of it. Perhaps if she had more experience. But until now, if she had any ideas about sex, then mostly theoretical. In practice, she was not so much afraid, rather, she simply did not meet a man with whom she would want intimacy. Another possibility, to completely abandon the children, was so unrealistic, in Claire's eyes, that it was not worth even thinking about it. The family was most important to her, although the brothers, with their manner of constantly commanding, were sometimes simply unbearable. Hank, her older brother, had a very successful marriage. His 3 children were dearer to him than all the jewels in the world. And Alex, Hank's wife, simply idolized her husband. And Claire dreamed of the same family happiness. So, while it is possible, she should get pregnant at any cost. And the sooner the better. I really didn't want to quit my job at Whitaker and Associates. But she needs money for what she has in mind, and you can only earn it quickly in a large corporation. With a soft chime, the chromed elevator doors opened. Claire froze. The cabin was not empty. There stood a man, black-haired and black-eyed. His broad shoulders were draped over an expensive business suit. The man stood with his legs wide apart. His expression was stern and determined. Although Claire never met him in person, she recognized him immediately. His photographs did not leave the pages of the local magazine. Jacob Anderson. He and his partner Alan Townsend were the owners of Pony Investments. To be continued.